Welcome to New Jersey. I'm Alex Bond.
I'm Nicole Herview.
Sup?
How you doing?
Oh, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. I'm in Prague right now.
Technically
speaking.
we're backlogging this.
Yes, we are.
All right, so we figured a fun little question would kind of be for us to talk about not what's really current or relevant necessarly, but
I like how you say we came up with a question and I'm still pondering my answer.
That's true. Question that I've posed that we would actually love if you would throw your opinions back at us as well, via Twitter or, the comments on YouTube or whatever you want to do. But the question is, if you had to pick one or two things, pieces of pop culture that define you as a person, or really you can point to and say, this is my thing, this is my favorite, this is something that I hold closer to my heart than I hold any other bit of pop culture or nerd culture, what would it be? And Bond is still trying to figure out mine. I posed this question
it's not fair
ago.
When you have two.
Well,
I got
you got
Harley
the
Quinn.
first one.
I got
my
Harley
first
Quinn
one is Harley
down.
Quinn. Because Harley Quinn. What are you going to do? But the second part he's having a little bit of an issue with.
Should I be? Is it going to be plainly obvious that when you say it's so and so, I'm going to walk out of here angry?
Yeah, that's probably how we're going to. That's probably how.
What is it?
No, you got to guess.
It's not Walking Dead.
It's not The Walking Dead.
It's not Game of Thrones.
It's not Game of Thrones.
I know you don't give a damn about Superman.
I mean, I give a damn, but it's not Superman.
Can I get a hint? Is it like...
I've talked about it before, on the podcast. I've been like, this is important right here. Because I identify with a certain...
Squirrel Girl.
No, I love Squirrel Girl.
I know you do. So it's not necessarily comic related.
No, it's not. I'll help you. It's not comic related.
Is it just Kevin Smith in general?
No, although I love him, but no.
And just his body of work.
I thought you were going to stop at just his body.
No,
and I was like, dude, no. What are you doing? No, turn back, run.
You got to help me out here.
I'm short in stature. Does that help you?
You'd be surprised how little that helped me, in fact.
Wow, this is really bad. And now we got dead silence here. That's why I'm just going to keep talking, because you're looking at me like this is really stupid.
Can you just give me the answer?
Fine, dude, it's Tolkien. I'm a hobbit. It's Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit.
Yeah, I'm not kicking myself for not guessing that.
Really?
Although I should note that there's a copy of the Silmarillion sitting upstairs.
It's not mine, but I'm borrowing it.
But you're borrowing it, so.
Yeah.
Well, I screwed the pooch on that one. Join us next week.
No, dude, no. Okay, what's yours?
I'm still pondering it. I don't know. I feel like...
Is it not Star Wars? Because that was your answer to our first question ever.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't want to use the same answer.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big part of me getting into nerddom growing up.
Right.
That was, that was me pretending that I was, riding a friggin' swing in my backyard, pretending I was Luke Skywalker in the Battle of Hoth.
That's pretty great.
That was a big,
Why weren't we friends? I'm so confused. This is so perplexing to me.
I don't know, and then I guess got a little bit older, and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man came out, and I identified a lot with Peter Parker.
Oh yeah.
But beyond watching those movies and loving them and watching them and rewatching them, to this day I still haven't gotten really deep into Spider-Man just because it's such a dense collection, such a big body of work,
physically dense.
And
book.
There's the Amazing Spider-Man, there's Ultimate Spider-Man, there's now the Superior Spider-Man.
There's a lot.
Who is Doc Ock and Peter Parker's body. So I kind of need to go back. So I can't even claim that that's my jam.
That's my jam.
Despite the fact that was the first superhero that I really loved. Mm-hmm. Even seeing the Batman movies with Michael Keaton growing up, Spider-Man was the one that I latched onto.
Right.
But I can't claim it to be that. I never really, I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings movies, but I've only seen them like once or twice.
We need to fix that.
I've dated people who've tried to fix that, and it just never took with me.
Well, I will make it happen. I will do what no woman has done before, and I will make Alex Bond love these films.
I mean, they're great. They're great.
I will do it.
Well, you wasn't crazy about the first Hobbit.
You admitted to me that you hadn't seen the extended editions, right?
I did do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna fix that.
I watched it for the first one. You told me it was a waste of time.
Well, the first one extended it kind of doesn't add much. The Two Towers extended edition gives you so much background into these characters, especially Faramir, who is one of my favorite characters ever.
Yeah.
Faramir is phenomenal.
You know what? I might have watched that.
You don't fully understand him if you don't see his scene with Boromir in Gondor that is only in the extended edition. It's like 15 minutes of wonderful background story. And, it's just that. And then Return of the King is like 4 hours if you watch it properly. It's like 4 hours. It's ridiculous.
And then I'm always in the mindset of like, I get intimidated by long run times. And
yeah, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I know, because then I end up watching the same amount of time of a TV show.
Exactly. You gotta not do that to yourself.
So I'll be like, oh, I wanted to watch Apocalypse Now, but it's 3 hours long. I'm just gonna watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine for the rest of the night.
Yeah, well.
Or I'm going to put on this movie and then watch the sequel.
Yeah, there you go. No. Yeah, I don't know what it is. You still haven't given your answer.
I know.
I'm ready to jump into Tolkien real quick.
Well, because I'm trying to get down to the nitty gritty of it, just knock things out. Because I can't. It's always been shifting. I can't claim that Spider-Man was always my jam. I can't claim that Star Wars was. I mean, Star Wars was always there for me, but
yeah, Star Wars is special.
Yeah, but and I think I was right in the the wheelhouse of this is who they're marketing towards for the prequels. Because I was 5 years old when the first one came out, and every 3 years I would get excited about the new Star Wars. So I guess I was 12 when the last one came out, and that blew my mind as a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
As a young lad who hadn't seen a whole lot of things
before. A young lad.
I remember seeing that on opening day. I went right from school from. That would have been 6th grade, right over to the Hazlitt movie theater, and got the 4 o'clock show. So that was an experience. So there was always Star Wars, but ever since that ended, now we're finally getting a new one 10 years later. But so it's tough for me to claim it as that. I don't know, the Marvel movies, they're cool, I enjoy them, but I don't know. And it keeps coming back to just these movies that aren't really nerdy movies, but I will nerd out over and can just watch over and over.
That's fair. Then choose that.
Yeah. I mean,
I did say pop culture.
That's true. And I would say High Fidelity is one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, ever. I just saw it, they added it to Netflix, which has me excited.
Did they really?
So that movie, yeah, I suggest you watch it.
Oh my god, I'm going to right now.
Because I love John Cusack movies.
Yeah.
I like him as an actor. I don't know what it is about. I think it's because he always plays somebody that you can relate to. Anybody can just see yeah, I know that guy.
Unpopular opinion. I hate Say Anything. The movie, not the band. The band's great. The movie, I watched it and I was like, why am I still watching this? But that's a personal, unpopular opinion.
I saw that in high school. I don't remember much about it.
Don't like that movie at all. Which is weird because I love the 80s movies,
And he was always a guy that even if you didn't identify with him yourself, you would see him and be like, yeah, that guy lives in my town.
Right, exactly.
There's kind of, he was an everyman. It was great. And he could carry a movie, which is great. So knowing that was one of my favorite actors, and I was in Jack's music shop, and just browsing around, seeing what's there, and there was a used copy of the DVD for cheap.
For cheap.
And I had never really heard of it. I think I recognized the title.
Yeah.
But I saw it. I was like, why not?
What the hell?
I'll pick it up. I was with my friend Laura. She was like, yeah, it's a really good movie. She didn't tell me much about it. She's like, no, it's a really good movie. So I said, okay. So I grabbed it, got home, put it on. Been one of my favorites ever since.
That's awesome.
Kind of like a hidden gem, which is great.
Yeah.
And I love when... It's not often that happens.
It makes sense to me, like, as a musician and everything. It works. It works.
And as somebody who, for a time, fantasized about owning his own record store.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I still would love to do that.
I would do that. That's awesome.
But they're on the way out, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately,
so
that's
it wouldn't
dying.
be sustainable.
Yeah, no.
But
Jack's will be around for a while.
Yeah.
But that's because
landmark.
it's a landmark. That's the only reason. But
so that was always, I mean, that's just a great movie. Jack Black's in it, like one of his earlier roles, and he's hilarious. It was just a really good movie, and he's a very flawed character in it, but you're still kind of rooting for him the whole way. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. So very just good. Things like that. I guess there's little gems. If anything that I would nerd out over, it's more on the music spectrum. Almost Famous, another movie that's one of my tops. Just as somebody who went on a couple of tours with my own band and just going on the road.
Yay.
And a lot of the books I read, I don't read a lot of fiction. Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting into comics. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
You're welcome.
A lot of the books that I'll pick up will be nonfiction of some description towards an artist or a figure that I'm just, even if I'm not a huge fan, I'm just somebody I want to get to understand and appreciate the body of work. So I wasn't too aware of Bob Mould as a musician. He was the singer of Husker Du, which was like a legendary punk band from the 80s that Dave Grohl claims to have ripped off to create Foo Fighters. So
I love that man.
So it's one of his heroes. And
I love that man.
So he appeared on the Wasting Light record on Dear Rosemary, and I thought, well, there's a guy influencing one of my favorite artists and a band that I grew up listening to, and for as long as I can remember, I was a Foo Fighters fan.
See, I'm more of a Nirvana Dave Grohl person, but I do enjoy the Foo Fighters. But I will always be like Dave Grohl,
drummer of Nirvana,
the drummer from Nirvana, who then decided to move on and do the Foo Fighters,
right?
Which is, in my brain, the logical thing to do.
Yeah, well,
like, I mean, keep going, sir.
He had two choices of he could have joined Tom Petty and be drummer for him, or he could do this new venture. And
I think that was definitely the proper choice.
Yeah,
absolutely. If he was going to keep doing music, that's the choice.
But and in some kind of weird lineage way, for me to have influence musically from Dave Grohl and to know that there's this guy who he was influenced by.
Right.
So I picked up that book. I was living in Boston at the time. Mm-hmm. I picked up that book at one of the bookstores, and that was a really interesting read. And I read George Carlin's his self-proclaimed sort of biography, which was released shortly after he died. But it was just, it seemed like a collection of thoughts of his. He just wrote down different stories from his life, and somebody sequenced. So the open and closing chapters are not written by George. They're written by whoever the biographer was. Mm-hmm. And I can't think of who it was. But then the rest of them is Carlin's writing. And that was enlightening and hilarious and
of course
wonderful. Now I'm reading Mark Maron's book, Attempting Normal. I'm going to move on to Kevin Smith's book.
Yes.
So
which you need to tell me about.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it, I promise.
So that was always... I felt more drawn towards that area of entertainment. Mm-hmm. Of people talking about other figures. Specifically in music. And I guess I'm branching out more towards comedy now. But there's not a lot of fiction that I've read since I went on like a Stephen King kick after my freshman year of college.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten too deep.
I read. He's very detailed, and they're brilliant reads.
Yeah,
a lot of them are pretty intense.
I just bought The Stand, and I'm very excited about that. But holy crap, that book is thick.
I've got a collection of books that has, I think, Salem's Lot, Carrie, and The Shining.
I have Carrie.
I read it.
I don't like clowns, so that's not going to work.
I don't either, but I mean...
That's just not going to work out.
But then when you read that and everything's kind of in your imagination, that makes it even more
yeah, that's true.
Real.
I don't like clowns, says the girl who just picked Harley Quinn.
True.
As her defining... I mean, you know. we fear what we love, don't we?
I guess so. And
Harley.
Then, yeah.
If I'm gonna completely deviate, my friend.
Does that count as my answer?
Yeah, that counts. I'll take it.
All right, that's fair.
Harley, I guess, because I said in our first podcast, Batman the Animated Series was really important.
Your introduction, your opening of the door.
Well, she was created for Batman the Animated Series. And so I always had her in my life from when I was very little. And
that show started, what, 96?
Something like that.
So...
And I started watching it then. Like,
probably
I was watching
about, you were forming memories.
Yeah. Literally forming the ability
Gaining
to remember.
self-awareness.
And forming as a human being, and I was looking at Harley Quinn.
There are worse ways to do that.
Yeah, that's true. And then I forgot about her. This is very fascinating, I feel. Forgot about her until The Dark Knight came out. And...
Jesus, that's like...
Right? Like, she just wasn't
that's a substantial amount of time.
Important, you know what I mean? Like, I just loved Batman. I wasn't really concentrated on anybody else involved. So, I grew up, and, she hasn't been portrayed in much besides books. And now she's very represented in popular culture. But I'm talking before the Hot Topic phase, and
I guess, that makes sense.
Before the games came out, before she, got her own series of books.
Because she's
huge now.
Very present in the Arkham game specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously there was talk after The Dark Knight came out about bringing her into the plan to bring her into that series before Heath passed away, bless him. But yeah, I forgot. And then The Dark Knight happened. And as a writer, I take... Oh, this is embarrassing. I write fan fiction, but only as a writing exercise. Like, I don't publish it. It's only for myself. And, it's basically my own self-gratification. That's all it is. It's just for me too. And to improve my writing ability and my character building. So what I would do is I'll take something I love, like Batman or like Lord of the Rings, and I'll create my own character. Completely new character, and insert it into the world. This is a normal thing. It's called OC, or original character fanfic.
That's because it's easier to build a character than it is to build an entire world.
Exactly. So I'll insert the person into the world and see how the plot changes, how one person can make a difference. Because I used to have to convince myself that I was important, and that's how I would do it. Like, one person can completely change everything. And that's how I would do it.
So would you do full plot arcs? Would you just do character arcs and kind of focus on how the characters drive it? Or?
Depends on the piece.
Okay.
But I would do both.
But you did kind of try and build this event happens. How does that impact these people?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
This person just says something that makes them think differently, or whatever.
Because they're very different, and you'll see there's different work by different directors or writers who some focus on more these are just characters who are interacting with each other and how that drives it, and there's other people who are this big event happens, how do these people react?
Right.
It's two very different ways. So that's a really interesting way of going about it.
Thank you. It depends on the piece, but I started to write because The Dark Knight, I saw it and my life changed. It's my favorite movie of all time. If I haven't said that, I'll say it again. It's fine. It's just amazing. So I started writing a piece for The Dark Knight. And I put this chick into it. And I realized very quickly that I was pulling from something I had seen before. And I didn't know what it was. I genuinely was this girl, whatever. She's kind of, fascinated with the Joker. And she doesn't really know why. She's actually Harvey Dent's little sister. As I made her, she's this really intense character that I created.
Harley Dent?
No, her name was Sam. But I'll tell this story one day. I swear to God, I want to pitch this as something. I want to write this. I want to sell it to DC because I actually think it's completely screwed up and kind of smart. I don't know. I'm kind of proud of this plot line that I made. But anyway, she's a writer. She writes for this Gotham tabloid, right? That actually is all coded, and it's just how the mob communicates to each other through a tabloid. So everyone reads it and thinks this is all complete BS. But it's actually just coded messages to other members of the mob. That's all it is.
And she's a part of that?
She writes it. She writes the whole thing.
So she is the...
She's not the editor, but she just writes the whole thing.
Right.
Like, it's a two-person, basically, outfit.
But for the purpose of creating these... Like, was she aware of the mob ties?
Very aware of the mob ties.
Okay, so
she knows what everything means. She's kind of the brains of the operation.
Okay, so she was driving that whole...
Yeah, even though she's not the boss, she's the brains.
Yeah.
And the mob guys trust her. That's a whole backstory thing that I don't want to get into. But anyway,
you don't want to show all your cards right now.
I don't even care. Like, but she's absolutely fascinated with the Joker. And I just kind of made her pretty much fall in love with him. Like, completely fall for him. Because, you know, she could see... It's Heath Ledger under that makeup. And he's a beautiful man. So she can see that he's really attractive or whatever. I mean, that's one thing. But she's just fascinated by his mind because there's something she sees that's mirroring her in there. And she has all this anger built up. And she respects that he lets it out. And he lets his kind of craziness go. And she can't. She's kind of bottled it up for her whole life. So anyway, I realized that while I'm writing this, I'm drawing on something. I'm like, what is this that I'm thinking about? And I go back and I research Batman the Animated Series, and there's Harley Quinn. And I was like, that's her. I was like, oh my God. I mean, obviously from what I'm saying, it doesn't sound like it, but the way I was picturing her.
No, but yeah, it's certainly related.
The relationship between them, I was like, holy crap. It's Harley. Like, that's who I'm dealing with. So then I added some plot twists to kind of make her Harley Quinn. Like, I figured it out. But anyway, so subconsciously, I guess I was always thinking about her.
She was always there, yeah.
But ever since then, I was like, okay, I need to know everything I can possibly know about this character. Because I thought she was great. So the first thing I did was I bought the Mad Love book, which was written by the creators of Batman the Animated Series. And it was literally just episodes of Batman the Animated Series put into comic form. That's all it was. But, I mean, from my memory, that's all it was. But it was super cool. And then from then on, I just absolutely fell in love with her. And her current series of books is so awesome. She's completely removed from the Joker. She's living in Brooklyn. Not Gotham, but Brooklyn.
That's the other thing that fascinates me about the DC universe is they've inserted these fictional cities in with what already exists.
Exactly, which is kind of cool. But she lives in Brooklyn. She's kind of a landlord. It's really cool because she's trying to clean up Brooklyn. Like, she's not a criminal anymore. She's trying to turn her act around. She's also in a roller derby. She's, like, just chilling with Poison Ivy most of the time. It's really interesting. It's not the Harley Quinn you're used to, but it's really cool in, like, this... Like, she takes this turn. She's acknowledged her relationship with the Joker as abusive several times in various series. Suicide Squad is obviously a more badass Harley, which I love. I love every side of this character that you could possibly write. I like how she's complex. I love everything about her, and that's why I'm really hesitant about the Suicide Squad film. I'm really hesitant that the first
film appearance?
Yeah, the first film appearance of this character and the first picture I see of her has all this possessive language all over it, like property of the Joker. No, she's not. You've literally taken 20 years to explain how she's not. And she's her own person, and you're going to take her back? I mean, I acknowledge that they might be making that arc in the film.
I'm sure, and that's what I'm thinking.
I'm hoping that that's where they go, because also I admire Margot Robbie so much as an actress, and I just feel like she wouldn't read that and be like, that's fine. Like, if that was just like, if she was just stagnant as a character.
Well, that would just be too basic of a storytelling device,
I'd just be like, what are you doing right now? I just feel like she has to have more complexity.
Yeah. Anything like that would annoy me, would be to know that, or maybe not to know, because it's not confirmed, but to think that the Joker is going to be on the other side of this Suicide Squad conflict. Like, he's really going against... And they could either do it where her big moment is when she identifies away from him and does go against him.
Be great.
But it'd be very easy for them just to write this whole thing of, she then turns on the squad and they become a team again.
Well, in the book, she almost does that.
Yeah, but...
She's very close, not to ruin it for you, dude.
Yeah, no, I know, but and I'm
she,
just hoping because they've done it in the book, they don't.
They think she does, and then... I can't even say she goes back on it. I really can't. She's so her own person that she kind of is never really with the squad, and she's never really with the Joker. She's never really with anyone but herself. She's got so much going on in her brain, like... She's either Dr. Harleen Quinzel or she's Harley Quinn, and she's almost arguing with herself on the page, which is fascinating. I just think it's this identity crisis almost that she's going through it's just so deep. You know what I mean? Like, they've just created a character that's so full, but I don't know. I wouldn't say I identify with her. It's not like, oh my God, I'm just like Harley Quinn. That's not.
No, you just admire
it at all. I just think
totally makes sense.
She's a badass character. There's a lot of feminist readings of her, which I think is great. You start off with this character who's just kind of the Joker's puppet for a long time and is abused constantly, and then she's become this really strong character, to use the cliche. But she's just grown so much, and I adore her.
That's not a bad cliche.
She's my deal.
I'm hoping in using her as a prolific character and having this squad of people who, I guess, more comic fans will recognize, and now the rest of the world will be introduced to them. And I just hope that they stay away from such expected storylines of, oh, well, Harley Quinn then joins the Joker and bad things happen, or she's drawn back to him because he manipulates her in some way, and they make her into some kind of like two-dimensional character that just, and I hope they don't.
And there'll be an uproar.
And David Ayer he's on a hot streak with movies. Like
he's really good.
He's written a lot of really smart work. I haven't seen Fury yet, but I've seen clips of it.
The Tank movie.
Yeah, I've seen clips of it, and everything I've heard about it is positive. He did End of Watch, and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
That took like a typical, almost buddy cop movie because you're following two partners the whole time.
It looked insane.
But they took it to the ground, and they just made it very realistic and very grounded, and each part of the plot was kind of like, oh, we're just following a few days in their lives, and as things start to unfold, nothing follows a certain, oh, we've been here before track.
Right.
So that's why I think he'll do a good job with all these characters. Mm-hmm. He tends to have, even in a team scenario, strong characters, each of whom brings something to the table. So
I'm hoping
there's a lot of optimism to be had for that.
Cautiously optimistic. I'm gonna keep saying it.
Yeah, but we'll be there opening day.
We will be there Oh my God, you will have to fight me off with a stick. Opening day, like, oh my God, I'll be there. I'll be like, take my money. I guess the other thing is, I know the other thing is Tolkien. I don't even know where to begin with that. It started for me. I read The Hobbit. I must have been in second grade, so I want to say I was 8.
Maybe that was the problem with me, because around that age, somebody gave me the books as a gift.
The Lord of the Rings books.
Yes,
I still can hardly read. I've read them, but
I tried.
It's hard.
Yeah, and I tried to read them, and
you can't start with those books. You can't do it.
I did. I think that's why. Maybe that is in some way related to me not even getting on that track. Was just seeing the movies, because movies are way easier to.
Yeah, they
you
are.
sit there for 3 hours and then you've experienced the story, and then it's just, okay, now I just gotta wait for the next one.
Yeah.
But I got to
book
page.
Is an investment.
I got to page 21, and he was still describing the damn Hobbit hole, and
Tolkien.
I couldn't. As a young mind, maybe that's what.
When you're young, you can't read The Lord of the Rings.
But The Hobbit is an easier.
The Hobbit is a children's book.
Yes.
It just is. I mean, it's an advanced children's book, but you could read it in a day and a half, maybe. 300-something
pages.
It's not difficult to get through. But there's a lot left to the imagination with character development in The Hobbit?
He leaves nothing to the imagination in Lord of the Rings books.
No, literally nothing. Like, there's this amount of leaves on that tree, and you will know. But I love it, because I'm kind of long-winded. I think people know that by now. So I'm like, Tolkien, I feel you. I also can't describe anything for shit, really. I really can't. So I admire that. But anyway, I read The Hobbit when I was, like, really young. And I loved it. I thought it was, like, so cool. So I didn't even know that Lord of the Rings was, like, related to The Hobbit at all. Like, for a long time.
Well, from what I understand, you don't really have to, do you?
No, but I just, like,
obviously
if
some
I
of the
had
characters
known,
are familiar, but
I would have seen those movies a lot earlier. Like, I watched these movies when all three of them were out on DVD.
It was probably for the best that you did that.
They were not in the theater. Yeah.
Because they started coming out when we were, like, 9, 8?
Yeah, no, it was... I distinctly remember it was 5th grade when I was watching these movies.
That's an easier time to...
So I was 12, 11, something like that. And I watched Fellowship, and I remember not grasping that the trilogy was one arc. Not grasping this. So you see Frodo and Sam walking down, like, the little cliffside. Like, you could see Mount Doom in the background, and the credits roll, and I lost my mind. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, no. And I was borrowing them from my
that's
library.
the biggest problem of looking at that as a standalone movie.
Yeah, I was like, whoa!
Because
like,
apart
what?
from that, you have the whole fellowship come together,
Yep.
and then they all break apart. 2 of them die. 2 of them get taken by the orcs, and the credits roll.
I knew Gandalf wasn't dead.
Well, yeah, but still.
The trilogy was out, so...
Yeah.
But whatever.
But then Boromir goes down.
Holy crap. Sean Bean can't make it through a movie. He can't make it through a season of a show. That dude is
his
great.
show Legends got picked up for the second season.
That's true. I'll give you that.
But Merry and Pippin get taken away by the orcs, and then you have Sam and Frodo continuing to walk along.
I was so mad.
And then credits roll. If you didn't know any better, you would have fucking rioted.
I would have lost my mind.
Anybody would have just been like... That was the worst storytelling device ever.
Yeah. So I lost it. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And, like, my mom was like, that was just 3... I watched them with my mother. Yay. 3 hours later, like, we had started, and whatever, I was like, I gotta go get the second one right now. I was like, I'm going right now. She was like, we just watched 3 hours of that. No. And it was the summer, so, like, I don't know what we were doing, but... I didn't want to go to the beach. I didn't want to do anything. The next day, I was like, we are watching the second one. I don't care. Like, I was obsessed. I could not function if I didn't see all of these movies. I don't really know what it was about them, but there was just this idea throughout those movies and now the Hobbit movies that, you know, even the smallest of people can, you know, change the course of the future. And I love that. And like I was saying when I was writing these stories that, you know, one person changes everything. I loved that. I loved that the little guy was the one who had the ring. The little guy was the one who was the hero. I mean, I'm talking about Sam now. The little guy was the one who saved the day. Because it's not Frodo who does anything. It's Sam. You know, I just loved that. I loved how weird everyone was and how everyone kind of had this depth to them and the idea of, I don't want to say racism because that's not what I mean, but anger between the races, like elves, men, dwarves, and the absolute hatred between elves and dwarves and how Legolas and Gimli completely overcome that throughout the course of these films. And I call that a victory in that story. I mean, there's just so much to that world.
That's progressive stuff, considering that a lot of that was written long ago.
I have to forgive Tolkien for his blatant, like, anti-Semitism, his blatant misogyny.
Fear of technology.
His fear of technology. Like, I have to say he was a man of his time.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, he just was. But that doesn't make his product, his work, any less awesome. It's the same thing for me with Disney. Like, Walt Disney...
God. Terrible.
If you actually look into him, was not the best of people. Like, just wasn't. Like, was not a good guy, you know, at all. But his work and what he's left, his legacy, is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Disney, as it is a power company, but if you just look at the product, apparently Inside Out is fantastic. The Disney Pixar
I need to see
film.
it. I really want to see it.
Apparently it's wonderful, but I need to see it now. But anyway, what I'm saying is The Hobbit, especially those movies, were very, very intense. And I have to say, I'm more of a Peter Jackson movie person than I am the books. And I think that's because PJ kind of puts more of a... At least I like the ladies. At least he added Tauriel to The Hobbit. At least we got something else going on.
Well, he also had his own attention to detail that made everything... At least, and I can only speak for the original trilogy because I haven't seen past the first Hobbit.
Well, we're going to change that. That's for sure.
But and like there was so much in the detail of making the original trilogy that he wanted everything to be a testament to what Tolkien built, but he wanted everything to appear authentic for the audience. You know,
it did.
He had hand-woven chainmail armor worn by
very intense
by the armies, and each one had their own like crest on it. So everything had its own backstory that you'd never visit. But if you were to wake up in that world one day, there'd be a story to everything that he made.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things I need to do before I die is go to Hobbiton. Like, it's real. It's there. I need to go.
I was just I was at work and talking to my boss about like potential moves and things, and he was like told me that at one point he was looking just for shits and giggles at places in New Zealand to see what they cost.
Yeah.
And then he told me apparently it's a decent price for what you get for like the amount of land and where you are. Apparently shortly after those movies came out, after the Lord of the Rings movies,
oh, it skyrocketed.
And they had to kind of like stop people almost at the gates, like whoa. Because there's not that much room there, but everybody was trying to move to New Zealand.
Because it's gorgeous.
It's a huge influx of tourism.
Absolutely gorgeous. And that was...
And immigration.
The best choice of location I have ever seen in my life.
I mean, they could have done it on a damn sound lot. I'm so glad they didn't.
Exactly. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Sound stage, not sound lot. It's a sound lot.
I don't know what a sound lot is, but I was going to ignore it. Anyway, like, I like how you would know this because you haven't seen all of them, but there's continuity in... They use the same places in the first trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy. And... like, you just see, like, yes, this is the exact same place. Like, you can tell. And it's throughout all of the movies, all 6 of them. But there's just... These 6 films are so beautifully done. And the score is perfect. And the acting is lovely. And the makeup, oh my god. And I have a thing for Thorin Oakenshield. And I have no problem admitting it. That's really my piece there. Like, I just have a thing for Thorin Oakenshield, son of Thrain, son of Thror, king under the mountain. And holy crap, those movies are good. But, I also need to learn to speak Elvish, but that's the nerdiest thing I think I've ever said. I need to learn how to speak Elvish. But, there you go.
So that's that.
That's my piece.
You have decided.
And
I didn't even come down on a solid.
Not really.
This is my thing.
It's okay.
It's just a general. It always changes. I'm always into like a different band.
Yeah.
There was like the last 6 months where, I mean, not currently now. Now I'm trying to find the next band, but there was the Queens of the Stone Age phase, where all I listened to was like Queens of the Stone Age and Kiss and Eagles of Death Metal, and then there was the Say Anything.
Yes, I know the Say Anything.
Where I saw them twice in 3 months. Or something like that, 5 months, whatever. Mm-hmm. And with that was like the Front Bottoms.
The Front Bottoms.
Because they were a hidden gem that I uncovered. Well, that was something that someone introduced me to them in like my sophomore year, and I listened to a few songs, and someone was like, yeah, they're from Jersey. And I was like, I fucking love this band. And I didn't listen to them for a while, and I forgot who they were. Well, and I was like, what was that song by that band? And I don't know if you know this. If you Google that song from that band, a lot of things come up.
That song from that band.
Nothing helpful. And then I put something on Facebook that was just give me bands to listen to, and somebody said the Front Bottoms. And I was like, that sounds familiar. And I put on Flashlight. And I was like, that's the song I listened to 2 years ago. And I was back.
If you want to see my cousin and his girlfriend went to Ramapo with the Front Bottoms. Mm. And they used to go to, like, little parties in people's, like, dorm rooms, and the Front Bottoms would play. Like,
that's incredible.
And then my cousin's girlfriend had, like, a birthday party or something. Like, just friends got together for her birthday. And the singer from the Front Bottoms was there, and she was like, what is he doing here? It was just like, what's going on? So if you want to, like, make my cousins roll their eyes, you should do this at my graduation party. Just go up to them and say, there's a map in my room, on the wall of my room, and I've got big plans. They'll be like, shut up. Like, I don't want to hear it. But, yeah, it's funny. They are very, very good.
They are.
They're really,
a lot of fun.
Really good.
And I love anything. I'm actually going to a show right now for Wyland down at the Wonder Bar.
That's fun.
So, yeah, New Jersey band's killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it.
So,
we'll sign it off there.
Them's the breaks.
Yep. Well, for Nerd Jersey, this has been Alex Bond.
And Nicole Herview.
Reminding you to always wear your nerd jersey with pride.
Woo!